your invisible journey of healing. Personally, I feel one of the aspects that is the most difficult to navigate while you are on your twin flame journey is to still live your life, because being on a twin flame journey affects every aspect of your life. So therefore you can't really isolate your healing journey and your life. But the thing is, as soon as you are starting your twin flame journey, healing journey, I'm talking about, really actively doing the healing work, then you start having this gap between going through the healing journey and keep living your life in a same environment with the same people, because you have to provide for yourself and for people that are dependent on you, if you have any, and you still live in this world, in this planet. You can't go on a retreat for 5-10 years. You have to be living while you are going through your twin flame healing journey. So personally, I find this one of the most difficult aspects on the journey, and I think a lot of twin flame can relate to that. And so you are initially going to feel this gap, because there's going to be more disconnection with people around you. They're not going to understand you. You're going to be misunderstood. They're going to misinterpret, and there's going to be more and more gap between you and them. But you still have to be interacting with them, because you still have to go to work. You still have to kind of maintain social kind of few interactions, because also you have family members, and some of them you are contracted to grow together, to evolve to a certain point together. Same with your friends, same with your colleagues. So because you can't break ties with all of them, and that's not the point of was you being in a monastery. The whole point is to be able to live in this world that is your planet with going through a healing process, and so being awakened. So living in this world in the way like before, where you had the veil. Now you are waking up and living consciously, right? And for that you need your environment, and you need the people around you. So the challenges at the beginning, it's really difficult to navigate your life and your healing at the same time, and the gap between you and others while you are still coexisting, let's say. And so for the most part of it, you are going to isolate yourself a lot, and it's okay, and it's going to be part of your process, because the interactions are going to be too difficult, there's too much of a gap, and you really don't speak the same language, and it's not like there is one better than the other or one superior. It's just that one is going through a healing process and the other isn't, and so there is a dissonance in your frequencies and vibration, so it can't be connected at that moment of your healing. So you're going to be isolating yourself a lot and keep your interactions to a minimum, and you're going to keep it to a very not superficial level, but in a ways that you don't go too much into your own personal details and everything. You're probably going to have a lot of conversations where it's focused more on the other person, or what they're going through and what they're doing, because at the end of the day they're going to ask you what you're doing, and it's always going to feel like the same from the human perspective, from physically manifested tangible way. You going through a lot on a healing level, but because it's not manifested yet, the changes in your physical reality, for others you just look like you're in the same place all the time. You're just gonna have these really weird conversations, a one-way conversation where everything is about others and you don't really talk about yourself anymore. And that's okay. You're gonna find your peace with it, you're gonna navigate this, but you're still gonna feel like you are really disconnected with everything, yet you still have to navigate it all within that structure and that environment of yours. And so it can be really difficult sometimes, because as humans we have the primary need to belong, to connect, and so that disconnection that you're going to feel, which is the disconnection that it's represented by the disconnection to source, right? And so disconnecting from everything external outside of yourself is going to force you to go back to the primary connection, which is connection to source. But in order to do that, you have to disconnect from everything else that is plugged into you, that you think is the genuine connections that you need. And actually, once you work through that, you realize the only connection that you actually need is connection to source, and everything else, it just flows from that. So that process is a very, very challenging process on the twin flame journey, and especially with everything that is said about twin flames, or also to hold your truth, to know that you are in this journey and you know where it's taking you, and that is your truth, is also very difficult. And then after a while, a long while, and you've gone through a lot of healing, you will come to a place where you are going to be able to coexist completely with your external environment, with the people around you that are not necessarily on a spiritual awakening journey, and is still going to be able to coexist with them. And you're not going to be conflicted anymore. You're not going to feel that you are alienated and you're trying to hold two pieces together that is not meant to be together. You are going to feel this peace, this wholeness, this feeling of that you can really navigate it in a very flowing way, because you have now come to a place where you have so much truth within you. You have this knowingness, you have it within you, that you don't need anything outside of you to understand you. You don't need to explain. You don't need to feel that connection. You know it's there. It's intrinsic within you. And you will feel the shift. You will really feel it. It's so different. You don't have to make an effort to try to fit in or to be able to be in a conversation and a social interaction. You're just going to be able to sit there, and you won't need to get into explanations or trying to make people understand or your perspective. You're just going to know when not to say anything, and when it's going to feel right for you to share your perspective or your opinion or your views on something, because somehow they are going to match that vibration or that frequency that you have, and then it's a real exchange. And as long as it's not a real exchange, you're going to feel that you're not prompt to be actively in the conversation. You are going to be present. So it's not in the rejection or in the avoidance or dismissal. No, it's in a very positive energy of being present, but knowing your truth and knowing the power of silence, right? Because now everything that you felt was invisible to others, you don't have the need to make it visible, because it's visible to you and is enough. And that is so powerful, and it's really a nice place to be after years of trying to navigate this constant split that you feel, right? And so when we talk about the twin flame journey, and is really about collapsing the split within, which is also the representation that you have with the split with your counterpart, and therefore with everything else that you feel outside of yourself, that you don't need to find this connection outside of yourself to feel whole. And therefore, because you have it, because it's in you, it's intrinsically in you, you are therefore connected automatically to everything outside of yourself, right? You are intrinsically part of everything that is around you, of your environment. But you cannot fully grasp that connection unless you feel it within yourself first.